Friends, my name is Jonathan Moyer, and I am one of the Associate Directors of Music here at the Church of the Covenant, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome you into this space for our Tuesday noon Organ Plus concert. This is the last concert of our season, 24-25 year. It's been an exciting year of concerts and events here at the Church of the Covenant, and just like everyone, we all need a little summer break, so we will be pausing our concerts over the summer and then resuming in September, so mark it on your calendar. If you would like to receive information about our concerts and any other notices we have here at the church, please consider signing up for our newsletter. We have a visitor survey there in the narthex. You can fill that out, add your name and email address, and then you can receive our weekly e-newsletter. And you'll see when the concerts are going to be starting up and all of the events here at the church. I want to also welcome those who can join us via our live stream. We recognize you, we thank you for joining us, and we welcome you into this space for music today. If you want to learn also more information about concerts and events here, please visit our website, covenantweb.org. In just a moment, I'm going to share a few words about our concert today. Kind of presenting a trip down memory lane. I just returned from 3 months sabbatical living in France, and all of these pieces have a little story behind them, which I'm going to share for you. But before I do that, perhaps you've heard in the background or when you arrived some beautiful music descending from the tower. Yes, it's exciting to welcome back our beautiful Dutch bells into the tower, and two of our carillon players, carillonists, will be joining us just for a moment and would like to share a few words about what's taking place. So, George?
I'm George Leggero and Kieran Cantalina. You hear us up in the tower, and just a word about what's going on up there, and we're really excited about this. The carillons, the bells, the 47 bells were installed originally in 1968, and they were in need of some tender loving care just to get them updated, restored, and renovated. And after 10 years, we raised the funds for it, and what you were hearing out there beforehand, Kieran was testing. We have 3 workers from Royal Ijsbouts in the Netherlands who actually cast the bells and designed and installed everything. And they're fine-tuning the clavier that we play from. So you'll hear, sort of got a preview of what things are going on there. You didn't hear the clock chimes because they're not connected up yet. That'll happen later today or tomorrow. And those will be going. We will resume our Friday lunchtime concerts later in the month of June. We will be streaming those as well as we'd had in the past. And so please come back and join us. And we will also restart our tower tours, so after those concerts you can go up and see how things are played. We're really excited about this. As I said, it took 10 years to raise the funds for it. These workers have been here for 3 weeks. On the 15th, they arrived. On the 16th, we had all the bells and equipment arrive, and cranes, and lifting everything into the tower, and they've been putting together all these fiddly little pieces. And it's absolutely wonderful. It's one of the best carillons, we think. Don't you?
Oh, yeah.
So please come back.
We take sound and music for granted so much in our lives, but to hear these bells just resound their beautiful music and their resonance is just special. It really is. It's a unique gift for this church and for our community and the city. So we are so grateful for all of those who have given so generously to see the restoration of this carillon, and may it ring for many, many more generations. So kind of in homage to our Dutch friends who have restored the carillon, I'm beginning with a work that comes from the Dutch tradition. This is by a Dutch composer, Jan Pieterszoon Sweelinck, who would have been very familiar with the tradition of carillons, because it's a huge tradition in the Netherlands. Many organists also play the carillon, so they kind of play both instruments. This is a set of variations on a Dutch-German melody in text. It's a love song. It's a summer love song called Under the Linden Tree. And two lovers are enjoying the beautiful weather and each other. And there's a kind of very catchy folk tune that set this text, and Svelink sets this in 4 different variations. For me, while I was in France, I played this particular piece on several occasions as a kind of demonstration of the organs there for several schools that came to visit. And it was a particularly fond memory for me to get to know school children and to see the kind of enthusiasm and support for kind of music discovery that was taking place there in France. And one particular group, they were just so excited to be around the organ, or maybe just they were enamored by an American trying to speak French. I'm not completely sure, but we had a great time together, and we took a selfie, and if you want to see it after the concert, I'll be glad to show it to you. It's a particularly fond memory for me. And then after that, I'm going to play 2 pieces that I played regularly in different services there. I was organist at the Cathedral of Blois, the Cathedral of Saint-Louis, and the organ was put in there in the end of the early 18th century, actually as a gift of Louis XIV. Maybe you've heard of the great famous, the Sun King, Le Roi du Soleil. Louis XIV, kind of one of the longest reigning monarchs in France, and was responsible for so much of the art and music tradition of that age. And this particular cathedral was restored, and as a gift to the cathedral, he gave this organ. And so I'm playing a piece of music that comes from that time by François Couperin. This is a work that would be played as part of the Mass, and it just sings with a very unique kind of French poetry from this organ. You'll hear, it's called a crumhorn entaille. This is a reed stop that you will hear kind of emerge from this beautiful tapestry of foundations and flutes and principals. And it sings this aria. Following that, I'm going to play a setting by a German composer of a German chorale, Vater unser im Himmel. This is a setting of the Lord's Prayer text that would have been sung also in German. It's very much a part of the French tradition as well. But what's interesting about this is during the time of Böhm, it was early 18th century, it was very fashionable in Germany to fill their music with all kinds of French ornaments. They loved French culture and taste. And actually in the town of Lüneburg, where Böhm was organist, they had many French musicians participating in the court there. And so this particular piece, though it is German, it kind of sings with a very nice French accent. So I'm going to play these 3 pieces for you from the Newberry organ, and then I'll return to the front and explain a little bit about the final 3 pieces. Thank you very much for being here. So the next three pieces come from some experiences I had at the cathedral in April as we led towards the Easter season, or in French we call Le Semaine Sainte, or the Holy Week, which is a very important part of the liturgical year in both Protestant and Roman Catholic traditions. Some of you have known my playing and have known me for a little while, know that I love the music of the French 20th century composer Olivier Messiaen. It's just a very unique kind of music, a unique person, and a music that I just connected with when I was a young person and has always just kind of stayed with me. So one of my bucket list adventures while I was in France was to go visit the tomb where Messiaen is buried, and it is way in the south. It is in the French Alps near the city of Grenoble. And so later in April I went to the city and went up the mountain. It's in a very small village called Pétichet, and even the taxi driver never even heard of it. So we had kind of an adventure finding our way there. No buses or trains up the mountain. But it was this small village, and I knew he was buried there, but I didn't know exactly where. So I asked around in the village, where's the church? And I found this small church on the hillside and a small cemetery there. And if you know anything about his music, Messiaen loved birdsong, and he fills so much of his music with birds, songs that he actually transcribed, many of which he heard in the French Alps. He would go there as a child. He actually grew up near this region and would vacation there every summer and did much of his composing there. So he wanted to be laid to rest there. And his tombstone is in the shape of a bird. And written on it just says, "All of the birds and the stars." And it's over this beautiful landscape of mountains. And it was just a very special day for me. And I went and kind of walked through many of the gardens that he knew when he lived there. And to this day, it is just full of birds. Just singing like a symphony of music, and I could just see how inspiring it was to him. So in kind of homage to Messiaen, I'm going to play a piece he wrote in the late 1930s. This is one movement from a large collection of pieces called Les Corps Glorieux, or the Glorious Bodies. It really celebrates the resurrection of the body. And this particular movement is called Joie éclatée de Corps Glorieux, the joy and the clarity of the resurrected ones. And if you listen to this kind of resounding melody and rhythms, I think you'll find the joy within it. The next piece is something that I wrote in kind of homage to my visit there and to Messiaen. I use many of the harmonies and melodies that kind of inspired his music, but in kind of my own language. I wrote this on Maundy Thursday, particularly for that service there in Blois. And so it's called Adoration, which is very much a part of the Maundy Thursday service as we consider the Holy Eucharist as given to us in that Last Supper by Jesus. And then following that, I'm playing for you a movement from Widor's Sixth Symphony. Many of you may know the famous toccata that comes from the Fifth Symphony that's often played on Easter. It's not really a tradition in France, so for them I played on Easter Sunday this particular piece. This is the first movement of the Sixth Symphony, and it is full of great drama and triumph. I just think it sings an amazing kind of harmony and melodic sequence for us, and I hope you enjoy these three pieces. Following the program, I hope you can join us in the narthex for a dish of freshly prepared cookies that was given to us by one of our volunteers here at the church. So thank you again for being here, and I hope you enjoy.